So what's going on, man? What's in your mind? What's on your mind?
I don't know, man. You and me, we've always, ever since we first met, you and I would always have some freaking deep conversations.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember the first time I think we hung out was freshman year in college, where you took me out to I think it was the Paper Moon for my birthday.
The
I think,
strip club.
yeah, buddy. I think
My
you,
busted car. Yeah, what the headlamp or no, not the yeah, the one of the lamps was actually pointing to the side to the right, and I remember driving through the ghetto, and the light of it looked like the cops were driving
cops
up
driving
and
through.
down. Do you remember that?
Yeah, man. I remember the beginning. I don't remember the end of the night.
No, I remember. You wanted to leave with the waitress.
Did
Out
I?
of all the beautiful girls in there,
That's right.
you're
Man.
you're
Waitress was
like you're
hot,
like
dude.
you weren't even looking at the ladies on the stage. You were actually more into the waitress
The
than
waitress, yes, the waitress was hot.
I remember that. I was
She
like,
was fucking
"Are you looking
hot.
at this?" Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Oh man, that was ages, like 20 years ago, dude.
Oh man. We just lost all the
Almost.
millennials, dude. All the millennials listening, we just lost them.
Oh,
But
never
yeah,
mind. No,
man.
that was a week ago. No, that was
Nah,
last
no, dude, I've
December.
been married for a couple years now. You can't say it was a week ago.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, no, we don't do that. I wouldn't touch that filth.
Hell no.
So yeah, man, that's it.
So what's going on, dude? I know we always talk about, meditation, consciousness, spirituality, and stuff like that. Um,
Yep. I think for me, it's more. I feel like I have a lot of interests. I'm very
right.
curious. But it's like I have I'm a what do we say? A healthy skeptic.
Okay.
But I'm open to basically everything, right? But I've always had an issue of having sort of like a very rational mind,
Right.
but the other side of me is like very intuitive and very, I don't know. I just feel like there's always something out there that's like a little bit more, something more than what we see, and I don't know. There's like I feel like there are a lot of ways to get to that point, like learn and figure out what is it exactly that's out there, right? You got science, and then you have all the alternatives that are sort of like unexplored, and there's so many, there's a huge list of things that feel like are worth exploring and are interesting,
So what do you explore mostly now? You looking at consciousness, science, space? Well, what's really pulling your interest? What's really pulling your interest now?
Well, like, right. Well, um, the last things that I've touched were mainly meditation
Okay.
and just maybe exploring a little bit of just I think the sort of like the powers of the mind,
Hmm.
like just being able to calm your mind. I think going through like emotional states.
Okay.
I feel like meditation has been the one thing that I've been curious about. I haven't been able to meditate. Tell you that much.
So what's
Um,
usually a typical meditation
Actually, you know
go
what?
for you? Session
Yeah, I
go
feel
for you?
like yeah. Well,
You say running?
running is fucking meditative for me, man.
No, I hear you. If you can get through that physical pain, but you get
Yeah,
that first 20 minutes, you can get like an internal rhythm
yeah,
going,
exactly.
which is pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially when you do long distance running. After that 4 mile, the fourth mile, you're just it becomes like it's like yeah, you're like you said, there's a rhythm,
Right.
and then your mind just shifts, and then you're in the zone. Like what they call the zone, right?
Right. Right.
Um, so I don't know. Your mind just goes quiet, and it's just a matter. You start like between mile 3 and mile 5. Like that fourth mile for me is like always like a lot of pain. A lot of your body's like saying, "Oh, come on, you need to stop. You need to stop.
Right.
Slow down or whatever."
That's the
And
first
then,
300 yards for me.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then you start slowing down, and then you try to control the pain, and the pain starts moving all over your body,
Right.
like from your legs to your arms to your shoulders, and then I don't know, something happens, and just like the pain disappears, and next thing you know, you're just like you have your breathing like pretty much on autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're just running, and then next thing you know, you're what I would call I think that's the closest I've been to a meditative state.
See, you hit it right there, man. It all, for myself and from a lot of people I've spoken to, it all comes down to breath. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everything. Like I was told that breath is purity is simplicity, and that's all comes through your breath. Whenever you feel like you're losing control, or well, that's it. Basically, if you're just losing control, just focus on your breath, and that pulls everything in. Because when he was talking about that, I mean, to him, he described breath as life. Without breath, it doesn't matter if your heart's beating or not. The in and out is what makes the universe kind of go. You got the expanding, the contraction. It's just pretty fucking deep, dude. But again,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. I
So
mean,
no, go
go
ahead.
on.
So when you're talking about meditation, you said running, but what problems have you had at home? Do you usually just get in that Om state and try to meditate, or what's some of it? Do you get distractions, or it's hard to keep the mind, the mind quiet, or what's usually your biggest thing if you're
Yeah,
meditating at home or something?
yeah. I don't. I mean, I've tried to quiet my like. For me, it's like usually at night, my mind gets really busy sometimes, and
Right.
sometimes I can't sleep.
Right.
So I don't think I'm far from being able to like control it and master the or the practice of quieting the mind. I wish I could,
Yeah.
but I think that I don't know. I'm really curious about it. I think that's the very next thing that I want to do. I mean, I said like I don't know, like when I'm like I said, when I'm running, after doing that, after going through all that, and then you stop, right? You finish, you cross, you get to the point that 6 miles is what I do. You get to that 6 mile, and then you're like, you sort of like wake up from a dream or something,
Okay.
and then I drive back home, and I feel great, dude. I
Do you?
feel great always, dude. And I don't know, it's like I don't know what happened. I
Mhm.
can't really like, rationalize what happened. I'm sure there's like a lot of endorphins and things going on in your body chemically that are actually doing something positive for you, and that's why you feel good, better.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also something that it's in the mind. It's very healthy for your mind, and I don't know if it's the physical activity or it's actually the fact that your mind's going into that state.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I only do 3 miles, man. 3 miles is enough for me. I'll try
Hmm.
6, but that's painful for me. If
Yeah,
I get to 4, mile 4 is very painful, and I maybe a handful of times I tried to run 6 miles, but I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. You got to try. You ever, like binaural beats? You ever try that?
What's
Listen,
that?
that's just because they talk about the brain going into different waves, wavelengths in a sense. You got like alpha wave, delta, theta, and beta. So
You're
you
not you're not talking about guided meditation, right?
no, not guided meditation. You can do guided
Okay.
meditation. I've done guided meditation,
Hmm.
but this is just purely either some type of calming music with an underlining tone. Because for every state, like the beta, theta, alpha, and delta, there's a megahertz that they say is
Yeah.
associated with that. So there's an underlining tone of that. So if you want to do, I think concentration, if I remember, I think is an alpha wave, but delta is when you're in deep sleep, when you're not in REM, but
Hmm.
that's when your body's restoring itself, and you can turn this shit on. Like sometimes I can't listen to delta waves at night
Yeah.
because
Gives you a headache.
no, dude, I will fall
Uh.
asleep, and 3 hours later I will wake up and I'm ready to get out of bed and run like a fucking marathon or something. I'm just ready to start, and it's like 3 in the morning, and I'm like laying in bed for about an hour because I'm freaking wide awake. So I totally cut that one out. I started listening to pineal gland activation just to kind of get my dreams going, because there's one that I listen to that I'm guaranteed to remember my dream, and it makes my dream so much more vivid.
Do you remember your
Oh, yeah,
dreams
dude, yeah. Every dream I have now, and it's what's crazy about it.
every day?
Yeah, every day.
What do you dream about? Like what
It
are like certain things? Like is it like very factual? Is like based on what happened during the day? Is it location wise? Do you dream about like where?
I can feed my head stuff before I go to bed, and and I'm a 50-50 chance that I'll dream about it. Like if um I binge watched The Walking Dead one time. Right? This is how I figured it out. I binge watched The Walking Dead and I had a dream about freaking zombies. So now,
Yeah, right, right. Makes
what
sense.
I would do is I'll just kind of flood myself watching something, or either reading something, or
Yeah.
focus on something, and more than likely I'll have a dream about that. But I'll have, I think some of the weirdest ones I have is meeting people I haven't seen in a long time, like on a train. You know,
Hey, always violence, man.
it's crazy. But yeah, I remember. What's weird is I'll remember the dream like you would the the day you had yesterday. So if you're remembering yesterday, you know, you kind of remember it in chunks, not in some fluid
Right.
timeline. That's
Yeah.
exactly how I remember my dreams now.
Yeah. For me, it's like so it's really strange, but um, before my separation, I remember like I never. It was very rarely that I remember my dreams.
Hmm.
I either didn't. I just didn't remember it. I'm assuming everybody has, you
Everybody does,
dream.
yeah.
Yeah, but you don't like in the morning. I would wake up. It was a non-issue. I was like never remembering my dreams, at least, or maybe I just didn't think about them. I just got up and be like, oh yeah, that was a dream, and then just forget it, get it out of
Hmm.
my mind. But after that, after for the last year and a half, I've been like remembering a lot of my dreams, and it's strange. So it's like some of them are I can usually tie it to like some event, like something that has happened
Right.
during the day or the week, or a thought that I had, or a movie that I watched, and somehow they just make it into my dream. But other times, I've had dreams, and I've like sort of like went online and tried to figure out what's the interpretation of the dream,
Right. Right.
and sometimes it's spot on.
Yeah. Sometimes it's scary.
It's like predictive
Yeah.
of it's like or something. It's like a warning. I'll tell you this. So my car, for some reason, I think it was a mistake. It was in my car. Yeah. Um, it was. I think I had missed two payments in my car.
Right.
Right.
Why does everything come back to your car, dude?
It's true because I don't know how to treat cars, man. I treat cars like I don't know. I was gonna say like I treat women. That's not true. That is not true. But I don't know. I'm very. I don't know. You know how I am, dude. I don't know. I just go. I'm not one of those people that are like gonna be on top of like changing the oil and things like that.
Right.
And I'm very distracted and forgetful. But um, for whatever circumstances, right? There were two payments had missed, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking for some reason I'm like
So two
I'm thinking,
payments in a row?
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
shit.
So I have this dream. Shit, I wish I would remember what dream was about. Was it a frog? I don't remember.
Okay.
I wish I could remember. Anyways, um, well, no, it was okay. I think it was falling. Was I falling? Dude, I wish I could remember. But anyways, I go online and I look it up, and no, actually, I told a friend. Actually, this girl that I'm seeing, my girlfriend, right? So I tell her the dream, and she's like, she looked it up, and she immediately tells me the meanings. Like, it's like three different interpretations and possibilities, and one of them was like, you need to look at your finances because you're about to fall on
Really?
something,
Right.
and something's about you need to be very aware of something financial that has to do with your finances. I'm like, all right, sort of like didn't pay attention, and I don't know, it's like towards like by noon, I remember going online, and not because of the dream, but just out of I don't know, coincidence, I guess. I go online and start looking at my account and realize that I missed 2 payments. And there's like, I called the bank and they're like, we were ready to start preparing papers for
Really?
repossession. We're glad you called. I was like, if I hadn't called that day,
Right.
and I mean, it could be coincidence, right? That you have that option, obviously, but at the same time, it made me like immediately. I was thinking about the dream. I'm like, damn. I mean, with that dream, all right. So if take it back and I say, all right, I had the dream, and if I knew, if I looked, I've learned about the interpretation of the dream. So, in under other circumstances, I would have taken that as, hey, heads up, go and look at your finances and or whatever.
Right.
Look it up and prepare yourself for, because it's like a warning, right? Take it as a warning. So I don't know. Is there anything to it? I don't know, but I thought it was interesting.
I tell you one, probably. I mean, like I said, I can remember my dreams, but probably the most craziest one that I had recently was my grandmother passed in September of last year, right? So, I never really mourned it, or kind of had time to myself to kind of let the emotions out or whatever.
Were you close?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is probably the biggest tragedy in my life ever, with her passing.
Really?
Fuck yeah.
Is she the one? Is she your grandma from New York?
Yeah.
Yep.
So she's the one I was living with that
Yeah.
time. Yeah, man. So she was in a pretty heinous accident, and she just couldn't recover.
No.
Yeah, she couldn't recover from, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
I remember when she was still in the nursing hospital this is reality, talking with her. And she'd always tell me, goes, I'm getting old. I'm not always going to be here. Always kept telling, says, Nan, we've had this discussion tons of times. I says, you don't need to worry about me, nothing like that.
Yeah.
So long story short, she passed, and then it was actually this year. So I would probably say maybe a month ago. We're in March, maybe the end of January, early February. So I must have went to bed around 11. Next thing I know, I'm in like a funeral home, right? And there's my nan. She's standing there, and all the men in my family are, and some of the women are too, we're all kind of surrounded her, and she's like in this beautiful dress that she loves, and she's laughing and she's talking, and she's dancing with each guy as if it was. And when I'm watching this, I'm looking at, and she's like, oh, she's having like a last dance. So she would dance with my uncle, her son, and then she would dance with I see her dance with my cousins, and then she starts dancing with my dad. So, I'm watching them dance with my dad, and I'm starting to realize that I know something's up, right? I don't know if it's a dream, but it's something just kind of feels like it's off. Yeah. So I remember my wife in my dream was standing next to me, and I look at her, I said, you know what? I'm going to tap my dad on the shoulder and say, can I cut? I'm going to say, watch out, I'm going to cut in like a joke or something. Like I'm going to be a tough guy or some shit like that. Yeah. So my nan's dancing with my dad, so I come up behind my dad, and I tap him on my shoulder, and I was going to make like a big show about it and make everybody laugh with me cutting in. And my dad turns, he looks at me and smiles, and when I go to put my hands around my nan, she grabs my arm and she starts dragging me out, not dragging me, but she's pulling me out of the room, right? So she pulls me out of the room and she takes me into this other room, and she sits down in the chair, and it's just me and her. And she says, I'm not going to be here all the time. And I'm like, and I kind of, because she's, like I said, she's in the chair. I lean down and I give her a hug, and I can remember like I got my cheek rested on her shoulder. I was like, Nan, I know you. I said, you don't need to worry about me. I said, I'm going to be fine. She goes, I know, but you need to know that I'm not always going to be here. And I was like, Nan, again, you don't have to worry about it. I says, I will be fine. Please do not worry about me. And the minute I said, please do not worry about me, I heard somebody walk into the room. So I kind of looked back, and it was my cousin, and she's crying, and then I looked towards where my nan was, and she was gone. I remember just kind of getting up and looking at the chair, and the chair was empty. And like I said, my cousin was crying. I kind of walk up her, and I kind of brush her on her arm, and I kind of walk out the door. And then, boom, I'm sitting in my parents' house in the kitchen, and I got my eyes closed, and I could hear my nan talking as if she's she's having a conversation with my mom and one of my mom's sisters. So I'm sitting here, and then all of a sudden, this voice in my head, because I want to look at her, and the voice says, "No, you can't look at her." She goes, "Just if you keep your eyes closed and be quiet, you can stay here as long as you want." So I'm thinking to myself, so I'm trying to stay quiet, and then I must have fell asleep with my arm around my wife because I can start feeling her moving around. So I'm like, shit. In my dream, I'm like, shit, she's moving. And in my dream, I'm trying to tell my wife to stop moving around, that, I want to stay here. And eventually I woke myself up. And that was like, I was only asleep for 20 minutes. That was the craziest shit.
So you're saying this was after your?
Yeah, this was after she passed. This was 5 months after she passed.
Damn. What do you think? How did you?
Well,
So.
I think it was interesting because when she passed in September, I
Mhm.
did a pretty intense meditation.
Mhm.
This is the one that I'll tell you about when you and I are together. But
Yeah.
in this meditation, I asked to see her, and I was told that I can't.
Yes.
I can't see her yet. She's her consciousness is being downloaded right now. She goes, it can't be processed. So then I was like, okay, that's fine. She goes, but then I was like, you know what? I have a lot of hurt in me. I
Yeah.
said, I haven't gotten it out. I says, let me cry and get it out. And the minute I said that, I heard a woman, three people down from me. She starts crying hysterically. Not frantically, but she's having this deep, like guttural freaking release of like sorrow. And in my head, I felt like she took my pain, right? And because I couldn't let it out, because that's how I
Mhm.
wanted to let it out. I couldn't let it out like that. That she let it out for me. And it was crazy. The minute I said I wanted to cry, I can hear like the nose, I heard start sniffling. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden I just heard the fucking tears start coming down from her. And it was like, I felt like
Well,
my pain, she took my pain and got it out for me. It's freaking crazy, man.
you felt that? You felt the
Yeah.
connection?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, right? So, like, I remember, like, if you think back to the beginning of our conversation, right? So that's that's the things. Like, you have the mind that's rationalizing things constantly, right?
Right.
And then you have that intuitive thing that's like connecting with like feeling and like perceiving like all kinds of shit around you, like people. Like a lot of times, I meet people and I can tell their character just by the way, just like instantly, like
Yep.
my instinct, like instinctively, I already know like this guy.
Right.
I don't want to give him the time of the day because I already know. Like, of course I would, right? But I would give him the time of the day. But I already kind of know that just by there's something about it. I can sense it. I don't know. It must be maybe.
Have you ever been
Um,
wrong though? Because I've done the same thing, but there
yeah,
are times where I actually maybe given that person a chance and kind
yeah,
of had
yeah,
my opinion changed.
yeah,
But I would say I would say 90. I think about other people tell me maybe 75%. I might
yeah,
be right on intuition
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. So tell me this: how do you think it is? Do you think our soul is us, and that when we die, so does the soul, or do you think the soul is connected to us, and this body? It's sort of like a TV. Does the TV receive the signal, or is the TV broadcasting this? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It'd be
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
what do you think it is?
I think that we're just. It's like we are just passing by, and right now we're just occupying this
So once
whatever.
So is it done when this body is laid to rest? What
Yeah.
happens? Is the consciousness moved to another?
Yes.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. Well, you know, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that if you all right, if you think a little bit about what the science shows, right? How energy moves.
Right.
Energy never sort of like ends or never.
Mm.
I don't want to use the word dies, right? But
Right.
energy transforms or converts into something else, but it moves, keeps on moving.
Mm.
I think that we're all like energy mainly. Now we have a physical body, right? And it has a function, but once your physical body actually dies, then your energy, whatever it is that's in us, the soul,
Mm.
right? Let's call it the soul. I think our consciousness, it moves, transforms, and it moves to another place. I don't know what it would be. I don't think you reincarnate like they say. I think this is
Mm.
just like, even in science they talk about dimensions. Maybe you move to a different dimension. Your energy moves to a different. It just moves to a different place.
Yeah, but you know, the only reason I have a hard time, because deep, I believe that as well. But the one
Hmm.
thing that kills me is why can't we pick up any relic from something previous? You know what I mean? Oh, is it
Like,
like the limitations of this body or this realm? But why can't I remember? Because I've read articles where an infant, not an infant, maybe a toddler,
mm,
said that he was murdered in his previous life, and I've read an article where this freaking 6 or 7 year old kid led police to a fucking dead body.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You heard that?
No, I didn't hear that, but I mean, it makes sense to me because I mean, I think that kids when they're that young, or babies or toddlers or whatever, they they're I truly think that you're born
Mm,
and you have, I don't want to call it knowledge, but you have something, you come with something,
right,
and this, unfortunately, you start unlearning all that shit.
right, okay.
Like at this point, you
You
and
just
me,
start forgetting it,
we've unlearned everything that we like. It's like a package, right? Like you get your package delivered and
right?
it's a nice machine, and then it came with all this cool stuff that can do, like, has like superpowers. But little by little, just because of the system works,
You
you
lost the
start,
fucking manual, dude.
yeah, and you start losing all the other tools and little pieces that make the machine do what it's supposed to do. And then, but I think it's like, because I mean, I think there's a formula to this. Uh, and this is something that I was talking to my girlfriend about. Right, I watched the movie. I don't know if you've seen the movie, The Village,
Uh-uh.
by M. What is it? M.
Yes, yes, yes,
Shyamalan.
yes, 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 yes. Okay, that
All
was a
right.
couple years old then.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
All
yeah.
right, that was like okay. Go ahead. Yeah,
That
yes.
that movie made me think a lot. And a lot of people don't like it, but so when the movie, the premise of the movie, right?
Right.
It's like, they make you think that the movie is about a, what, like 16, no, what, like 17th century, 18th
Right.
century village, and something's up in the woods, and in the end you realize that it was actually in modern times,
Right.
right? People that built that town, that village, that made it look like they were living in like freaking 17 something. um in fact, they were like in the 20th century, right?
Mm.
And the blind girl, leaves the place to look for medicine because one guy got shot. Anyways, and then she's blind. She finds herself outside of the perimeters of the where they live, the village, and this car comes over, picks her up, and she gets the medicine and goes back.
Didn't she
Um,
actually have to leave the wall? Was it the?
yeah, yeah,
All right, I thought so.
yep,
Okay.
yep. And that one of the people, I think, all of those. So they call themselves the elders, right? The people that actually founded the village, and one of their leaders, um, had like his dad was a billionaire or something,
Mm.
and he owned this like park, and he used the land to build a village, and that's where they lived, and it was like a gated sort of like community, and they created this, fear in people,
Mm.
saying, there's the ones we don't speak of that live in the woods. They're out there and they're gonna get you if you try to go. We made a pact with them. We don't go into the woods. They don't come into our village. And as long as we keep that, as long as we don't break that truce, then we're gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids, like the teenagers, are like, they have this contest, like who can stand beyond, a little bit beyond the perimeter for the longest. And but they get so freaked out because their fear, like, doesn't let you go out there, right? And there's nothing in the woods. This is all just the elders telling them
Mm-hmm.
this story, right? And actually, they build this custom or um, this fake customs, right? That made them look like some weird creatures, and
Right.
they would go around the village scaring everyone to maintain the lie
Return
alive, right?
order. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. So back to what I was saying. After watching that movie, man, it made me think. I'm like, what if that is how really things are? You have a group of people, say the elders. We have all this system here, and we are told that we were told a lot of things. We are given a lot of limitations of things that we can and cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Sort of like the those that we don't speak of, in the movie, that create this fear that is unbased. It doesn't exist. What if it's like that? Like, what if there is like a group of people that create all these things, all this, everything that we are actually experiencing right now,
The deep
and
state.
it's like, what if it's just made up? What if all those limitations that are out there that we're told, right, are our limitations, don't even exist, but because we have fear, like those people, they wouldn't if it wasn't for their fear, they would have been able to leave, venture into the woods,
Right.
and basically discover, something like that's out there, which is
So how
modern
how do you think that
times.
relates to us now, though?
Um,
What do you
so,
think our Great Wall, or the what's the woods, or what's the monster we think is in the woods?
well, I think it's like the system has become such that you're sort of like forced to play along, right? Like you have to, you get a mortgage, you get a family, you get a mortgage, you
Mortgage, isn't that Latin
work.
for something till death? I think mortgage. I'm
Is
serious.
it?
Yeah, mortgage.
Well, there you go.
Let me look.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to have a car, you
right.
have to have a mortgage, you have to have a family, you have to pay for education, you have to just to maintain, so that your kids will have a mortgage, will have a family, and so that your grandkids will have a mortgage and a family. And you keep on doing that and doing that. It's over and over, and you die, and that's it. Is that really it, dude? Or is that just how they want it to be? What if we were supposed to be like, I don't know, we're supposed to like enhancing our mind and our consciousness?
So check this out.
Um,
The word mortgage comes from the French mortgage, literally death pledge.
well, that's very fitting.
So the French peasants were working until they died. There
Who
you
came
go.
out with that? That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that. So what was the definition again? The French for what?
Death. Oh, shit! I just closed the window. Death pledge. So you
Death
make an oath.
pledge.
Death pledge. Yeah, mort. You know,
That's the
mortal.
only that's the only pledge that you do. That's like till death do us part. Or
Marriage
what
and
is it?
mortgage. Yeah.
Not marriage, but mortgage will get you, man. But
Shit.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's those. It makes you think. So we have like all these limitations. I
See, I
don't
think
know.
if there's limitations, it's a consciousness right now. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I believe that yes, you can be oppressed by the banks, by bills, by your 9 to 5,
Hmm.
reality television. I mean, but I think we still have a choice on not either watching that or not succumbing, letting that overcome you. You know what I mean? Like we both got kids, we both got mortgages, we both got bills to pay.
Yep.
I mean, we can choose to consume us, but don't get me wrong. Right now, I wouldn't be doing this podcast. You wouldn't have to. You could say, no, I'm gonna go watch TV instead. There's still choices that we can make. And I still think the freaking
Yeah.
mind is what's holding us back.
Yeah. 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 Oh, that's. But it's because you're so distracted with a bunch of bullshit. Like, I mean, yes, you're right. I mean, the system is necessary to maintain order, and
It's not for us. It's not. Yeah, that's it.
uh,
Order, man. It's disgusting.
yeah. But yeah, definitely not for us. But I don't know. It's like they throw all these distractions at you, and you just sort of like, what is it? Drink the Kool-Aid, and then next thing you know, you stop. They're just distracting you from I don't know, doing other things like understanding what's going on out there.
Well, hell, I mean, you look at the politics too, man. Oh, it's always one side against the other. You know what I mean? Democrats versus Republicans. You
Right.
know, race, black against white. Male against female. It's like you said. It's all like pre-described. That we're just always after each other. You know, it's always either a competition or there's always an A and a B. You know, liberal. You get either far right or far left. You know, if you want to try to stay center, you know, it's
Yeah.
all the
And
shit.
and I don't get it. Like I just for me it's like I totally don't understand it. It's like what most of the fights or most of the positions are like about what, you know. I mean we can go over that, but in the end it's like all right, to for what, like to keep a piece of land, or because my belief is better than yours, or it's
Mhm.
like the absolute
That's it. That's
truth.
another one. Religion, definitely.
Yeah. Right. Where we shouldn't be thinking. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, I remember going through at VCU, and it's like, I didn't. I remember we were part of the what was it? What was it
LSA.
LSA?
Yeah.
But I wasn't. That wasn't all. I'm like, I've always been this way. I don't know why, but I never wanted to belong to any
Right.
particular group. Like, never, never. I never got into any cliques, any like little groups or anything. I mean, it was cool. We did it and all that, but because the point I'm trying to make is one. Isolation is the worst part.
Right.
I feel like we talk about consciousness, right? So I think that I was hoping, not right now in the state of things, it feels like we're taking like steps backwards. But I think the hope is that one you get to a point one day where you're gonna realize that it's not that you belong to a certain country or a certain place on Earth, but you're just like a human,
Mhm.
right? You belong to this Earth, and you are actually part of planet Earth and humanity. I think that something drastic is going to have to take place, right? Like we've talked about like UFOs and alien, or like life, intelligent life outside of
Mhm.
Earth.
Freaking war.
What the day that happens, like imagine like there's a point where you find life outside of Earth, and you start leaving Earth. Outside of Earth, how do you identify yourself? Oh, I'm from Africa, or I'm from Australia, or I'm from South America, or whatever.
Right.
No, you're gonna be like, I'm from Earth,
Mhm.
right? It becomes a bigger, in just that statement right there, man. It becomes like, um, your consciousness automatically changes
Right.
the way you see things, because you're no longer you know, part of a little piece of land in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know, I think a cool thing like what Elon Musk is doing, if he's taking people up into space, I mean, I honestly believe that if you were to see the world like Earth from space, that would change everyone's perspective. If everyone had you can look at it on the web, but I think if
Yeah,
you would actually see it from whatever 500, 600,000 miles, out of orbit, and just to look down and see, I think that would change a lot of people's
yeah,
consciousness on stuff like that. Because
yeah,
even,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, even like going back to meditation, I mean, I do a lot of float tanks, so I'm sitting in an isolation tank, and
yeah,
that, you get some crazy shit that happens, that where your
yeah,
mind, when it starts losing sensation, it starts going batshit. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, it's just, I can't feel my arms. I can't hear nothing. I can't see nothing. And like I said, it just is what it is. That's the deprivation. Your mind just starts going nuts. And that once you're able to learn how to control it, you got some interesting shit happens.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I bet. I think that's like next for me. I'm definitely curious. I wanna start exploring things like that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's definitely, you know, a lot of things to explore.
Hmm.
And I think the more you do it, I mean, you just got to keep evolving. Is what I'm saying. I guess
Yeah, I
it's
think.
like.
No, go ahead.
Oh, what I was gonna say is that you go through experiences, right? And you have to keep on learning. You have to you go through experiences through life, and then I've heard the number of these different concepts and sort of like ideas. One of them being how you will keep on leaving, you will keep experiencing something until you learn the lesson that you're supposed to be learning, and until
Really?
you learn your lesson, that sort of thing's gonna keep on happening to you repeatedly. And if you don't learn in this life, then it's gonna follow you on the next whatever it is.
Okay.
Um,
So you
it,
think?
it sort of makes sense.
Because I don't know, man. They keep talking about different dimensions. We live in the 2D dimension, or we live in a third dimension, but we can only see 2D. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you lived in the fourth dimension, then you'd be able to see in 3D and shit like that.
Yep.
But I don't know. I keep hearing that there's different levels of consciousness, and you start reading or looking into religion, and you start hearing this, and the stories sound wacky. But then if you start exploring consciousness and spirituality, you kind of see the resemblance, but you can see how it kind of get all fucked up, like in the muck. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, looking at Buddhism or Islam or Christianity, just trying to put the pieces together. And I always remember that I was told that every religion isn't correct, but it has one thing right. And if you put that one thing of every religion together, it won't give you the answer, but it'll point you in the right direction where you would start to look. And it's like I don't know. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
do now.
Well, that to me that makes absolute sense. you know, because me, I'm not definitely not religious. Spiritual. I don't know. I guess I just sense I know that there's something out there that's bigger than
Right. And see that's what I define spirituality as.
Okay.
I don't use, like I said, like you said, religion. I'm not into religion.
Yep.
But spirituality, like if after this podcast, I'll go upstairs, I'll throw my headphones on again, I'll get some binaural beats on, and I'll just sit, and I'll just, granted, I'll fall asleep in like 5-10 minutes, but I'll just sit and meditate, and I'll just sit and just try not to think of nothing, and just kind of let the body just go, and then I usually, when I get to sleep is when the fun shit starts to happen.
What, you in dreams?
Yeah.
Huh.
Fun shit starts. It's like vanilla. What's that show? Vanilla Skies? Was that what it's called or something like that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It starts
You
getting.
mean the movie?
Yeah, man. You start getting colorful skies like that. Uh, it gets freaking crazy. Where I don't, most of the time I'm seeing people that I haven't seen like since either college or shit like that. Where I kind of meet and we kind of reconnect. Check how they're doing. I kind of get a little update, and then I just move on. And
Yeah.
it's weird. You know.
Yeah. I mean,
But I
I
can
mean,
have
you
dreams where I live like a week or like a month.
are
You
you
know.
still doing art?
I'm not painting as much as I need to, but I'm sketching, and I'm really just right now. It's just pretty much the meditation. It's too much
Yeah.
work, unfortunately, right now with the kids and finding time to freaking paint.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, I got to get back with Pacheco because at least when he would do the events, when we would do the live paints at some of the concerts,
Yeah. Yeah.
at least that would force me to go out. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I mean that's never, that release as well. I'm thinking about getting more tattoos.
Oh, I'm
Trying to,
definitely getting my tattoos. You've seen the last one, right?
yeah,
That I got.
yep.
Yeah.
So you
I
still
want
got that finished. You still got to get it finished or add more to it.
to. No, that's as far as that one. That's
That's
it.
done.
I'm gonna definitely add more to my arm. And
Okay.
for some reason, I feel like I keep on feeling like I just want to have it on on the left side of my body. But I want more like I don't know, in my torso, and I don't know. I just have to kind of like feel it, yeah. But I think also there's something else, also something about inspiration in art, and it's weird, but you can find inspiration when you're in your darkest moments, right?
Right.
Also, when you're like, it's something about it. It's like when you feel inspired, it's like madness that I love. It's like when it comes creativity comes, like hey, you have I don't know, it's that particular state, and it feels like it only lasts only
Yeah.
but a little bit, it doesn't last long, and you have to go in it. It's like moments. I define it as moments of madness. You go just like, because nothing's like, you start thinking in terms that don't make sense. They don't fit the
Yeah.
mold. You start going a little bit crazy, and then you let that out in some kind of way,
Yeah.
like whether it's music, I don't know. For me, lately it's been photography, like just taking
Okay.
pictures. I mean, you don't have to, I don't know the first thing about taking pictures or photography, or equipment, but I can conceptually I can see something and like snap a picture of it, and it tells us some kind of story, or it does something. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. So I call that
Um,
being comfortable with my ignorance. You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I like
That's
that actually. Yeah.
that's like another thing, man. You got to be consciously aware that well, at least for myself, that I don't know everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I got my beliefs, I got my ideas, but like I don't want to go back to politics, but all the shit that's happening in the news,
Yeah.
just because they said it happened, to me, that's not enough information. You know what I mean? Like it, there's two sides to everything, and sometimes I don't want to be the one kind of just jumping to conclusions. I want to fucking have the information where I can kind of take A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and kind of form my own hypothesis of what happened. But I don't know. Like I said, I think it's really important being comfortable with your ignorance. If you can do that, then I think the opportunity of you learning.
Yeah, I mean, I always use that. I think it was, Plato, the philosopher,
Okay.
either him or Aristotle,
Right.
one of them. I think one might have said it first. I don't know why, but he say all the quote is, "All I know is that I know nothing."
Right.
Or maybe I'm paraphrasing, but maybe it's like, all that I understand is that I know nothing, or that I don't understand it. It's basically what he's. So it's like, I guess, being humble, or maybe just saying, hey, there's so much to learn. You always have to be a little bit skeptical, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Like, I don't claim to know anything, because any if anything if anything if anything has been proven through humanity, like the history of humanity, right, is that any established knowledge has always been challenged and transformed.
Hmm.
It never, like, we used to think that flying was impossible, and they consider that the absolute truth,
Hmm.
right? Some arrogant scientist could come over and tell you the reasons, a list of reasons why, you couldn't fly, you couldn't take off, you can use a machine to fly, and then that was challenged and that changed, so that you gotta also like be careful about not pretending not to know everything, and just assuming, and just understand that maybe you don't know as much as you think you know.
Right.
Like you said, that maybe you don't have all the facts, but there's more to things.
See, that's hard. I think that's difficult for a lot of people because, in this reality, our reality, the game is money. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And that's the game. That's what everyone's trying to play. It's like, let's just get the fucking money. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just not either good at that side of things, or I'm just not into that. You know what I mean? I don't get me wrong. I would love to get, money not being a worry, but to me, there's so much more. Like I said, going to sleep and having those types of dreams and coming out and getting answers. That's just all I'm focusing on. Like I would love to go to sleep and come to the table. You got, like you said, Aristotle and Plato sitting at that motherfucker having a beer. And me be able to kind of pull up a chair and sit down with these fuckers and just kind of shoot the shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just
Well,
sit there and listen.
yeah. Well, see, that's that's that to me. That's more fulfilling. Definitely, right? I mean, it has to be. Yeah, I mean,
Stressed out, dude. It's like we got like two lives. The life that we have to live, your responsibilities, you're paying your fucking bills, you all that shit, and then you got
yeah,
that unlived life that's like within us. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That
yeah,
you
and
trying to get
some.
out.
Yeah, exactly. And some people feel it more than others, and it'd be a shame that you get to your last, your deathbed, and you're like fucking regretting
That's my
shit that you
biggest
didn't
fear,
do.
man. Fucking regret. And I keep
Yeah,
hearing that, man. Like that's what on a deathbed. That's what I should have done. This I should have been nicer. I shouldn't have been so hard on myself. And it's like that is my biggest fear is that I'm gonna have regret. But then
yeah,
again, don't get me wrong. You know, everyone's gonna have some form of regret. At a point you got to kind of give yourself a break.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think like, um, I think to me it's like having the most experiences like you can possibly have, and
Mm.
just fucking live hardcore like experience shit. Like,
Right.
eat food just as much as you. I'm not saying eat a lot. I'm saying, taste. Taste, feel the air, like cold air. Like you were saying, if you go camping, you like to just jump into cold water,
Right.
just see how that feels, and just like in the sun, get cooked for a while. You know what I mean? Go up to some mountain, try to snowboard down hill, feel that rush. Jump up from a
Hell
fucking
yeah, man.
airplane. I wouldn't do all those things, but I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that the more you experience, I feel like those are like stamps in your brain, in your psyche, and just yourself. Even there's like some muscle memory into all of those things,
Right.
and you just learn from that. Oh, that's my experience. I think that's the thing. That's one thing of it, and then the other thing is like learning, like always evolving and trying to see how, trying to identify, taking a step back and looking, trying to think the things that are repeating in your life, that are like sort of like keeping you in the same spot, like things that, because if you think about it, if you step out of your where you are, and then you just look at yourself from a sort of like a third party coming looking at yourself, there's stuff that keeps repeating, man. That's something that has to change, and you,
Yeah,
you
that's
have
hard
to.
to do, man.
It is fucking hard. It is. It is,
I
because
think
if
a
it doesn't feel
majority of the people
comfortable,
can't. Yeah, I don't think a majority of the people can do that.
no,
You know me,
no,
like
no,
even something small is going to the gym.
yeah,
There's a
yeah,
dude I follow on he's an ex-SEAL, Jocko Willink, and he gets
uh-huh.
up at 4:30, and every morning at 4:30 he takes a picture of his watch, right? And he goes, "Time to crush it." I was like, "Fuck, dude, I want to get in the 4:30 club." 4:30 runs around, dude. It's like I can't fucking do it. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know I could if I had to. On the weekend, if I know I didn't have to go to work, fuck, I don't care. I get up at 4:30. Big fucking deal.
yeah,
But no,
yeah,
it's like other shit. Like you said, going to the gym or meditating, dude. That takes a lot of mental fortitude to say, I gotta I gotta meditate or something like that.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you also need the time, and you got to find yourself in a good environment. I think, like I said, I think it's three things: experience as much as you can. Shit, taste it, feel it, live it. You know what I mean? Then learn from your experiences. Try to step back and look and sort of analyze your life. Learn, evolve. And the third thing would be actually evolve, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, shit. You gotta sort of like listen to that instinctive call. I
Mm.
mean, like for me, it's like I know, dude, because I can feel it. I used to be very rational and scientific in that sense. Carl Sagan, right?
Yeah.
All right, so like he used to be my hero. He still is. I mean, I respect the guy. I always I follow.
He's a pale blue dot.
Yeah, have you seen that?
Yeah.
yeah, I did. So, um, anyway, for me, I have to see it. I used to believe. I used to. That was my motto. I like if I'm gonna believe it, I have to see it.
Mm,
See if I can see it. If you can't prove it to me, it doesn't exist, right?
mm.
Now these days, now that I'm like, I don't know, in my 40s, I'm like, no, I I've always felt it.
Right.
Like I always felt in my gut, right? I'm like so I've always known that there's something out there, dude, that's beyond this like physical walls. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's like something that's connecting, something that's like, yeah, connecting with us, like some sort of energy that.
But you know what drives me nuts is like you get an ant farm or nothing, right? Those little
Mhm.
motherfuckers don't know they're in that farm, and it goes back to what you said about being when you talked about the village. I think.
Yeah,
What if we ain't conscious? Maybe we can't process you know what I mean? The limitations of this body. We can't process the real answers, and that just fucking just drives me nuts, man. You know what I mean? I want the freaking answers, but then, like I said, through meditation, I've
yeah,
gone to some weird fucking places,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just like, but it is so it's so hard to put into words, but it's so different from this. You know, you the loss of self. I think that's what it is. Like I'm so afraid. I identify with this body, with this face, with this sound of my voice that I've been that this is as I'm 41 now. This is all I've known. You know what I mean? Anything
Right, right.
outside of this, to let go of either your ego or just the image of self. Man, I can't fucking process that, man.
I mean, it's again, you get well, you've unlearned the good stuff that you came with, right? I feel like as a kid and growing up, you learn all the shit that it just helps you belong to
Hmm.
the system. Um, and you learn new stuff. They teach you stuff that you fucking don't. I mean, you need it, yes, to survive, to be able to function in society and the system. But that that really only serves you to survive, so that you can fucking die and I don't know, leave something
Hmm.
material for your kids or whatever. But you leave with what, right?
Yeah, well, it goes back to what you said, experiences, man.
Yeah, I mean, and then you gotta now it's like I feel like some people like us, right? Like we're trying to fucking unlearn. I feel like the stuff that they teach us, that's those are the things that are limiting us.
Right.
They like I don't know. They teach you that no, once you hit 40, then you need to stop working out, or your body just you see it. It's like on TV. It's like they keep on feeding you shit.
Mm.
It doesn't make any sense. You can still do a lot of things. There's people that do it every day, right? It's like that's the thing. Fear is like very limiting. It's hard as shit. I mean, I say it. I know these things, but there's what's one thing from like believing in it, knowing it, and then actually put it into practice and do it. That's
That's
fucking
the hard
hard.
part because I'm like you. I want to see stuff.
Yeah.
I want to, like if I watch a movie and somebody either gets hypnotized or goes into meditation, all of a sudden they're there, and the shit feels just as real as, you and I talking together right now.
Oh
But,
yeah.
but in my dreams of meditation, when it's happening, it's different from, what I'm feeling right now, and I don't know if I'm expecting it to feel exactly like, me walking around the house or something like that. It, but again, who's to say that ain't, that's, what I'm
Yeah.
either is right or wrong.
Yeah. Well, like I feel like our brains are. I don't know if it's our brain or what. Like sometimes I can actually. I think this happens to most people too, but like I don't know if you've ever you're ever having a conversation with somebody and like you sort of like your brain has already knows what the person's gonna say
Right.
before they say it.
Well, that's like women when they live together. They fucking cycles go at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. So that to me right there is an indication that we there's something else. Like you can, I bet we can probably like communicate through like telepathy.
Mhm.
Like I truly believe that.
Well, there was one
Like,
time that we did when my wife, my daughter, she was a babe. She was. I'm sorry. She was about 3 or 4, and then my wife was with my son, and I'm in bed, and all of a sudden I could hear my daughter say, "Dad" or "Daddy, Daddy," and I kind of get up and
mhm.
go do what you got to do. If you got to move.
Oh, no, no, let me just hang on one second.
All right.
You can still hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, I'm back.
Where we
Sweet.
at?
Yeah, I mean, oh man, so yeah, I think like lately for the last 2 years, 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, almost. Wait, yeah, almost 2 years. Dude, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot, man. And mainly through like I don't know, like experiencing stuff, experiencing. Um, I don't know, like I went through this separation
Mm-hmm.
deal, and it was just like a lot of self, and now what do you call like examination, self examination.
Right.
Like you start thinking about your relationship and where you went wrong and all these things, and there's like a lot of emotions that come like you go through, and um but you start like trying to find answers like to a lot of things that you weren't expecting,
Right.
like, and then you start um I don't know, like digging deep and like trying to, and you realize that through your life, right, going back to your youth, there's a lot of things that you pack in the back of your mind,
Fuck yeah.
and then you feel like, all right, these are things that are sort of like you make peace with it, and then you feel like, oh, they don't. I've already sort of like closed that chapter. It's packed in the back in the basement or somewhere.
Mm.
You're not. It doesn't. There's no has no role, or it doesn't play any role in my life. But dude, it comes out subconsciously. It comes out, and things that you feel like are very natural and normal, and then you realize, fuck, this is not normal. You know, so it's like this is not normal. This is why am I acting this way? And then you start thinking and like, oh, you're understanding. Fuck yeah, this is why. It's because what I've learned when I was a kid or growing up,
Right.
and now you gotta feel like you understand that, and now you gotta how am I gonna change? Can I change?
I mean, it's
Or at
true.
least,
There's a lot of shit that I do I've seen my parents go through. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or my parents do. And it's like
yep,
and my biggest that's my biggest fear now is I got to somehow educate my kids to either be conscious of it or know that there's alternatives. You know what I
hmm
mean? Just so they know that there's a choice. You know what I mean? Not that I felt like I didn't have a choice, but it's like you said, if you don't realize you're living in these walls and you don't go in the trees, you don't know anything else. Then
yeah,
you don't know what you don't know type of shit.
yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah, man,
But that's scary, but that shit's liberating because I went through that shit in my 30s, and it just everything just went wide open on me, and really started focusing on stuff, and shit started just really, I don't know, making sense, but I guess in a way it did kind of make sense. Like I said, I didn't say I had the answers, but I it definitely kind of put my life or my thought process off a degree. You know what I mean? And if you change the direction a degree or two, you might not see nothing that first year, but if you stay on that path, man, couple of
Yeah.
years down the road,
Yep.
that's a big difference. It is.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it, I think it's hard to when you're in the moment, when you are going through it. It's really fucking hard to see shit, to see
Right.
where you are, right? How you got here.
Right.
It's really hard to like you just gotta understand that you're going through something, and eventually you're gonna get to a point where you're gonna be like, basically you're going uphill,
Yeah, but see,
and you're gonna
you're only
reach that.
focusing on the bad stuff too. You know what I mean?
Oh, in the
The
moment, yeah,
the bad. That's it. That's the only thing that fucking froths to the top. All the good shit, you either take that as what's the word? You take that as not common, but something like that. You just take it as it is, and you just focus on the fucking bad, and you can get overwhelmed with that shit.
yeah. I mean, and that's another thing you have to fight, right? It's like trying to stay positive. It's like somebody, like I used to get an emotional response to, like, only just by thinking about stuff, like thinking about the future
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about the past.
Okay.
Very simple. Like you start thinking about the future, I would get fucking stressed.
Okay.
Like uncertainty, like creates uncertainty, and I would get like really anxious and like fucking stressed thinking about the future. What if this? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if
Right.
this? Blah 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 blah. And then I started thinking about the past. If I hadn't done this in the past, if I had done this way or another, or maybe I didn't make the right decision or whatever, I would get stressed out again, like sad or like regretful and like.
Hmm.
But if you just stay in the moment, right? All right. When I start thinking and living in the moment, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, just like, oh wait, this is what I got, right? And this is the decisions that I can make right now. It's like it changes the whole thing.
Fuck, and that's you said it right there. You got to live everything in the now. The past was the now at one point. The future
Yeah.
is going to be at the. That's what's crazy. Like I always read that there is no past, there is no future. It's always now. Like at now,
Hmm.
the dinosaurs are still right now, still walking on Earth. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's just and whatever's going to happen is now. My mom's giving birth to me right now. I'm 3 years old. I'm 4. I'm 5. All that shit is happening right now. It's just crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you obviously, you want to, whatever you do now is shaping the future. You got to understand that. That's one
Right.
thing you have to keep in mind, right? Whatever you're doing now today is basically shaping the future, like constantly. You're constantly changing the outcome, like what's going to happen next. But there's no point in worrying about that. I learned that, dude, the hard way. Like, and it's no way to be like. And then another thing is like trying to stay positive. I've been there have been times where like if I wasn't careful, dude, I would get into deep depression.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and that's not me, dude. That's if you know me, I'm like.
Right.
But I was like, I would get into this negative states that I couldn't get out of, like, and it was really hard. But it's something that actually a lot of people experience, and I mean, there's fucking medication for that shit. You don't need
Yeah, I
medication
don't
for that.
medication.
You don't need chemicals for that to deal with that shit. But people go through it, and I thought about that too. I'm like, there's just a lot of people out there that actually you hear about, like it's never been part of my experience that go through those emotional states where you're like completely depressed and you don't feel like moving or doing stuff, and you isolate yourself, and then next thing you know you start devaluing yourself, and
Mhm.
if you're not careful. But I think it's like a matter of like finding a way to just get out of that state. It's not good. It's like it's all filled with negativity, and there's so much fucking positive things that you can think of.
I mean, sometimes you ever you think of multiple universes?
Yeah.
Because if things get real stressed, like I said, I always try to find the right answer, but I always remind myself that in one of these universes, I'm doing the absolute wrong thing, but there's one where I'm doing it fucking right. And it's like,
Yeah.
how can I navigate to that fucking side, or that kind of relaxes me or calms me down, knowing that in one of these universes, I'm cool and I'm doing it right. And
Yep.
it's just is what it is. It's like you said, experiences. You got to experience the good, you got to experience the bad. Because, like I said, even through my meditations, it's it felt like we were all coming from the same source, and regardless if you did good or if you did bad, it was all an experience, and that was the whole purpose of living this life. Was
Yeah.
strictly just the experience. Like, you weren't judged afterwards. There was no heaven or hell. It you it's the same as this body. We can't control time, or whatever limitations we have with this body. The the good and the bad is also comes in this life form or dimension. But regardless if you do something good or something bad, in the end, it all calculates down to an experience, and that's what this whole life is about. It's just fucking experiences.
And I truly believe that too, man. And I mean, we find ourselves. I mean, we have families, we have kids, and we have responsibilities that we can't just take off and like go to Japan, for instance, which is like my dream. Like, I just want to
Oh,
pick up
Japan?
and I want to go fucking see Japan, um, or go like whatever, right? You can just sometimes you can just pick up and go,
Right.
but
Yeah, that's what you used to do in college.
yeah,
Just pick up and fucking go. No, nothing. We'll see you
yeah,
either next semester or weeks.
me,
Yeah, you. I remember one time you left, and I don't think I saw you for the rest of the year until the following year.
yes, true,
Yeah, man.
yeah, yeah.
Same
I
thing. We
mean,
were reconnected after school.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
That's right.
just
Yeah,
but you especially. I got a small amount of friends where it's like we can, if we haven't spoken in, doesn't matter how much of time, we can just pick up where we
where
left
we
off.
left off. Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
man. I don't know why I appreciate those friendships just a little bit more, but
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
something about like my friends in New York or LA. If I don't
yeah.
see them, I can just shoot them a text and say, "Hey, what's up?" And just that response, like, you know, it's cool.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Um, yeah, I remember that actually. I remember that one. When you guys went to Spain, right? But that was after I
Yeah, that was after school.
one year. I just went to Italy for like what was it, 8 months?
Yeah,
Do you
something like
remember
that. Yeah.
that?
I thought you were in some country and the borders got closed or some crazy shit like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
I was
I
like,
mean,
I think we went to your mother's house asking where you were. Oh,
yeah, yeah. Is that when I was in Italy?
I think so.
Yeah, dude. I just grabbed and go. I mean, no, there was a plan. I did have a plan, but it was very like spur in the moment. I bought a one way. I knew I was going to be in Italy for a while, for months,
Right.
but I didn't have a return ticket. I just
Okay.
bought a one way ticket to go by myself. I needed to go to Italy, dude. I bought a ticket to Paris.
You
I
see,
arrived.
what was it cheaper to go to Paris?
No, I just wanted to see Paris,
Okay.
but I had to be in because I was going to school. I was going to go to school in this town called Perugia, in Italy. So Italy's down here, dude. What do I do? I just get a one way ticket to Paris. I just
Right.
land in Paris. It was like during the World Cup in France, and I remember arriving. And I'm like, now what? Like I stayed 3 days in Paris, and then I was like, oh shit! Now I gotta make it to Italy. So I remember grabbing my shit, going to the train station, and uh, like getting to the counter and be like, all right, so I need to make to Perugia. Can I get how do I do it? And
Right.
they're like explaining like, oh, you gotta take this train and this train, and
Okay.
buying a ticket, right? Um, and taking the train, dude, taking the train down from France to Italy. Of course, you got to go through Switzerland. So I arrive in Switzerland at midnight, Zurich.
Right.
they close the station at midnight, so you can't take another train. So I'm like, fuck, what do I do? And I'm like, I'm just gonna sleep in the train station.
Right.
They close the train station. They kick me out. So I walk through. You can go from one side of Zurich to the other in like 30 minutes. It's that small, that city. I remember just walking about. They're like prostitutes, mostly Brazilian, in the streets. Just like walking around. And then I got really tired. I was just gonna walk all night.
Right.
There were bars open one night, but I don't know. I just wanted to walk. I sat by the river and just walking about because the train station opened at 6.
Right.
So I was gonna take the first train. So I got so tired, dude, and there's no way I'm sleeping in the streets because I don't know. So I just, walked by a hotel, walked in. I remember paying 80, whatever it was. It wasn't euros, but then it's like whatever the currency was in Switzerland. Just like went in. It's like, all right, you have a room. It's like, pay for it. Slept for a couple hours. Woke up, went to the train station. Was went down to Italy. Arrived in Perugia. Hey, here I am. The next thing I know, I didn't come back for like months. Like, yeah.
See, man, not many people can appreciate taking a trip by yourself. I fucking love taking trips by myself. I love sitting. Like, if I'm with family, I want a direct flight. But if it's just me, I love the stops.
Oh, yeah.
I love just chilling and just meeting people and just sitting and shooting the shit with them.
Yeah.
You'll never see these people again.
No, and you get to do whatever the fuck you want to do,
Right.
It's like, I remember, so it was the World Cup, like, I arrived at the train station, right?
The World Cup was where, in Paris at the time?
That was in France, in like different cities.
What year
it was
that?
98.
Was it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. And like 2 days or like a couple of days prior to me being in Paris, the British hooligans had like got into fights with like Turkish hooligans. They stabbed each other. It's like a mess. And that day it was actually Argentina playing England. And I remember standing in line, and like this couple of Argentinians were like, "We're trying to return our train tickets, because we're not going to see the game." They were scared because it's like hooligans, the British hooligans, and I was like, and they didn't speak. They only spoke Spanish, and I was like, I can try and speak English for you. I don't speak French, but they may understand English, and I did. I sort of like translated for them. And they were like, the typical French, really real asshole. The lady that was helping was like, actually didn't help at all. It's like, no, we don't do refund, sorry. So I told them, and they just went their way. And I got my ticket. My ticket was for a train that left at 3 p.m. I think, and it was like maybe like 11 a.m. or something like that. And Gare du Nord, it was a station in the south actually.
Right.
I can't remember. Anyways. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna stick around. So I went outside and just went back in the train station. Next thing I know, dude, there's like 100 Argentinians just like with their flags and like chanting in the station. Like little by little, it was like 300 Argentinians. Then like 500. It was massive amounts of Argentinian fans just like chanting like nonstop. I was like.
Was the game done already?
No. The game was actually in another city, and like there was about an hour away from outside of Paris.
All right.
So they were there because they were going to take a train station to go to see the game. Here come the police, like the French police, dude, with their like machine guns. It's like tons of them.
Right.
So let's say you have 10 train gates or tracks. They're all lined up from 1 to 10, something like that. I can't remember how many there were, but let's just say it was 10. I remember I was just sitting on the floor just watching what was going on. They pushed all the Argentinians. They had actually they reserved 2 trains for going for the games, right? Mm-hmm. One train was on gate 1, right, which was on one side of the station, and that was for the Argentinians. And then they had another train for the British fans, which was on like if you had 10 tracks,
right.
track track number 1 was for the Argentinians. Track number 10 was for the British, and
Right.
right in between you had all the police like with their machine guns and shit. Here come the fucking hooligans, man. I mean, they weren't all hooligans, but it was
Right.
like the British fans. It was like about like it felt like a war was about to explode. It was like you had the Argentinians chanting on one side, the British chanting on the other side. It was like a sight to be seen. I remember just sitting on the floor, just watching the whole thing. Anyways, eventually I left, and I remember, and on the train to Italy, I'm just sitting there. I went actually to the where you can actually smoke in the train.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there smoking a cigarette, and then this guy comes over, sits across from me, like a couple sits down, and he starts smoking as well. He's like pulls out a book, and it's in Spanish, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh, and I just kind of like make eye contact. I'm like, you speak Spanish? He's like, yeah. It turns out he was Mexican. He didn't look Mexican at all. It's like this
Right.
kind of like blonde dude, like long hair. It's like, you speak Spanish? Yeah, he speaks Spanish. And he's like, can you? Do you mind if I go sit with you? I was like, no, come over. And then we started talking. It's like this artist. He's actually an artist based in Zurich,
Right.
and he actually was going to sell his art in France, in Paris. He was going back to Zurich, and they were sitting there like bad mouthing. He's like asking me my impressions of like the States, and I'm asking him what are his impressions of Europe. And we're fucking, the both of us are like bad mouthing in Spanish. We're like trash talking. We talk about positives, of course, but then we started talking about all the negatives about Europeans. And he was talking about the people in Zurich, especially. And then this kid comes over, like you could tell that he was like a fucking German guy. You know, you know that this guy is like either, I don't know, German or maybe Swiss. I don't know. And he sits right next to us, and he's reading a book in, I don't know, whatever language. And, you know, we were like, he keeps on like trash talking about the Swiss and all this bullshit that all these things that they do. And he kept on looking at us, and we're like, there's no way this guy's understanding what we're saying. He actually said, in Spanish, he's like, I actually agree with you guys. And we both were like, oh shit, in like perfect Spanish. We were like, fuck, what the fuck? And he's just laughing, and then he started talking to us in Spanish. It's like he knew he knew Spanish fluently because he had studied in Spain.
Right.
He knew English, French, Italian, German, and one more. Can't remember what it was. English, I guess. Yeah, 6 to 7 languages,
Okay.
like fluent. And he came over. Also, he sat right next to us, and we chatted about like everything. I can't remember now, dude, but it was like the most. I was like, this is the shit. I love this. I fucking love this. Meeting new people, talking. We talked the entire time. I remember at the end of a trip, basically, there was like this girl was switching wagons, and she passed by. She was carrying her luggage, and she was like hot as hell.
Right.
And he's like, she's Brazilian. I'm like, how can you tell? She's like, because when she walks, she doesn't walk, she dances.
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah. So anyway, that was it. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, you don't experience that every day, dude. It's only when you venture out, when you see. Here's my impression of, or my definition of living life to the max, right? Is when you actually get yourself out of your comfort zone.
Right.
Anything that you do, whether it's at work or in school or anywhere, when you put yourself in a position where you're not out of your comfort zone, that's when you start fucking living and experience it. Because you're like, your senses and everything else are like, you're uncomfortable, but then again, you struggle a little bit, right? And you learn something about yourself. It's like learning about yourself, how you're getting out of those situations, and you're like find a way for you to feel comfortable and enjoy what's taking place, even though it's like totally outside of your comfort zone. Like doing Tough Mudder, right? Getting into that fucking ice tank.
That shit was fun.
Yeah. So that's That's the thing, you know. Like,
Because even like what you were saying, going off on your own, I could
yeah,
tell you it was one time when Godzilla, that movie Godzilla first came, not the one that recently came out a couple, maybe three years ago.
yeah.
It was only being my friend had early release tickets about a week before it hit the thing. So I was like, "Fuck it, man! I'm getting on a bus. I'm heading up to New York to go watch it."
Uh-huh.
So I get on the bus. First thing I do is put on my fucking mean face. So hopefully nobody sits with me, right? So because the bus wasn't crowded. The minute we get to where I think in one of the second stops, the bus starts getting crowded. So it's like, all right, fine. Next thing I know, I see this really old guy walking up, coming down here. Kind of looks at me, and you could tell he didn't really want to. He's guess feeling my vibes. There's no other seat, so he sat down. So we must have drove for about maybe 45 minutes, and then I took my headphones off, and I just felt like talking. And he kind of mentioned something. Man, fucking greatest conversation I've had.
Yeah.
And this guy, he was in World War II. A
How old
Jew.
was this guy?
I don't even remember, but he was an old guy. He said
Yeah.
he's telling me stories of World War II and how his family had to hide and how escaping to get out. And then he's telling me the secret of a happy marriage. You always got to take him dancing. And then his name, I remember, his name was Toby. I remember when we got off at Madison Square Garden, we said our goodbyes, and I got off the bus, and I had to head right, and he went left. And it was like one of those things I had to turn around to make sure. I had to see him walk down the street and turn the corner. Because it wouldn't have surprised me if I turned around and he just vanished. You know what I mean?
Like it was a part of your imagination.
Because it was just weird. It was crazy.
Yeah,
it was just like I said. You don't get that. I mean, I love going to the subway station or like Union Square or even in like Madison Square Garden, just sitting and just people watching.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one day we're gonna be that age, dude. I want to be like unapologetic, like having gone through like enough experience so I can just say, to all the youngsters that come by, be like, yeah, this is how it is. This is how it really is. Yeah, man. I mean, shit, we're only 40, whatever. We have a lot of fucking
young 40, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We got at least.
We got what? Camping trip we trying to plan, right? You down?
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man.
I'm talking.
I've never gone camping, man. So.
Well, then I'm gonna make it. What's
You're
the
like
word?
a purist.
That's
right?
Dude. We're gonna have to be digging pits. We're gonna have to bring a shovel.
All right.
It's gonna be hardcore like that. So.
All right.
Well, listen, dude. I appreciate you coming on.
Of course.
I can hear Lobo in the back. I don't know if he needs to go out.
He does.
Oh, what's the deal? But
no,
dude,
yeah, it's exactly what he wants.
I really appreciate it, man. And we'll get the other guys on too. But
yeah, brother.
We'll talk about this. I'll get you on. We'll continue this conversation, man. See what new experiences we can discuss.
Exactly.
Boy.
Yes.
Cool, brother. I appreciate it, man.
No worries, man. A pleasure. And I'll talk to you soon, I guess.
Cool, man. Thank you.
All right, man.